Do you have patterns that you already have made that you love how they fit on you, how they look, but they have some features that are just a little bit fiddly, that take a little bit longer? Well, I have two favorite patterns of mine that I have made again, but I have simplified them both, so they will have a very similar look, but they will be so much easier to sew. Sneak peek, fun video for you today, so keep watching. Hi sewing friends, my name is Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing. Today I have exciting things to share with you and two patterns that I had wanted to sew again, and I had been thinking about them for a while and how I was going to simplify them. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know I will go to both extremes. I will sometimes take a very simple style and add little things and add complexities to it for sewing. I love that, but I also love going in the other direction, which is taking a pattern that has maybe a feature that is super pretty but can be a little bit fiddly and just lengthier to sew, and just try to eliminate that while keeping a very similar look and just simplifying the pattern. And I have simplified patterns in the past and shared them with you on the channel, and that is what this one is about today, making patterns easier to sew, just simplifying them so that you can have a different experience with the pattern. If you've already made it, you already love it, you know it fits you, and you would like to revisit, do it again in a simpler way. If I can't say the word simple enough, I've said it like 10 times. These two patterns I'm going to show you today are from Love Notions. And about Love Notions, I did let you know on Wednesday's video that there is a huge sale going on right now. It's called Moving In Sale. And it's because Tammy, the owner of Love Notions, has been able to rent a huge office space area in her hometown, locally to her. And she's been setting up this beautiful, beautiful sewing workshop that she has great plans for in the future when everything around the world is safer. So I will leave some information down below if you want to know more about the workshop, Love Notions workshop. Super cool. It's a physical space, and to celebrate this moving in, there is a flash sale that is only for today, Friday, and tomorrow, Saturday, so the 31st of July and the 1st of August, and it's site-wide 50% off. And the only pattern that isn't included in the sale was just the recent release of the La Belladonna. Otherwise, the whole catalog for women, children, men, boys, girls, everything is 50% off. So it's a great opportunity for you to go and get the patterns that you have been liking. I will link down below a playlist of all the garments I've made using Love Notions patterns. Look, there are over 50 videos there. If you want to binge watch and have a couple of hours available, you can watch, but otherwise I am bringing pretty frequent content. You know, the patterns are very well drafted, they have a great size range from extra small to 5X. A lot of them have a full bust option as well, and there's lots to choose from, you know, either for wovens and for knits. If you want to, you can use my affiliate link, and that also helps support me at no extra cost to you, because you will still get your patterns 50% off. The first one I'm going to show you is the Vivace Dolman. Now this is a pattern that was released around March, just around when lockdown started. I remember that same weekend that the pattern was released. That's when I just went into my home and never left again, you know, since March. And it's a really, really nice pattern. It's called Vivace Dolman, and of course it has dolman sleeves. I have a full video already on the channel about this pattern where I show how to sew this really cool neckline that overlaps and forms a V. This V type neckline is my favorite feature out of this pattern. I really love that. And the awesome thing about this pattern is that in this one pattern, you have a version for wovens and you have a version for knits. So two separate drafts, different ease. So you can choose what you want to make and you'll have sort of the same look. I am wearing the Vivace Dolman dress because this pattern comes in shirt, tunic and dress length. So I wear this all the time. I just love this dress. It's always on. And this neckline is so beautiful. It just crosses over, and then these little corners right there that you have to sew. And there is a little pleat there. So it's a pleat that's off-centered to one side, so it's not in the center, it's like going towards that way. So love these. There's little armbands here to finish off the sleeves in the knit version, And you know, I always knew I would make a lot of these because it's a style that I usually wear a lot. And I did make it in woven, of course, and I used this lovely chiffon with roses, and I even made the neckline pieces with chiffon, and the lining piece of the neck, I've done it with linen. Beautiful. This one has cuffs instead of the armbands, and it's just a really floaty design, and I really love it. Now, when I made the video about this, I got not one but several questions, and I thought, yeah, you know, it's something to consider. The question was, can I make this design without the front pleat? And I got to thinking, and yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. The only thing is, this front pleat that you have there adds a little bit of ease from sort of the full bust all the way down. So you will have a little bit of extra ease at the hips due to this pleat being there. So I thought, yeah, you know, I could eliminate this pleat, but I would have to compensate that ease that the pleat had in somewhere at the hips somewhere, because I know when I do flat pattern measurements, if I just take out this pleat and make it as is with the size large that I was making back then in March, it's not going to fit me. I have to blend to an extra large at the hips now. It's been a couple of months of lockdown, and oh yeah. Okay, that's all I'll say about that. I am now an L here on the top, and I need to blend to an extra large at the hips for the patterns I've been just making recently with Love Notions. So, you know, I needed to look at that. But it is totally possible to eliminate that pleat, and it just makes the neckline construction so much easier. So I'm going to show you how that's done now.
What can I do? Time flashed by and I woke up on the other side of the moon.
This is the version of the Vivace for woven fabric. So the pattern pieces are for woven. There's separate ones for knit. I have the back there on the fold, and for the front, I want to eliminate that front pleat. So there is a little mark along the center front there. And I basically just extended that line all the way down and folded it back, and that will be my new put on the fold area. So I will still conserve the same shape here on the top on the neckline. That won't change. It's just that there will be no pleat there. I do add a little bit of length to these patterns around my apex area, so I know where my apex is on the pattern, and that's why I drew a circle there to make sure I wasn't going to get a huge flower there. That's something I really do frequently because it saves me having issues with pattern placement. Because I eliminated this front pleat, I've reduced some of the ease around the hips. I did some flat pattern measurements, and I think I would like to have some of that ease that was included in that pleat. So all I did was add to the side seams there at the bottom. You can see here at the bottom from the edge, I just added about 3/8 of an inch on each side, and then just tape it up back to nothing around there. Very easy change. I didn't need to print another extra size. You know, just a small change so that I am happy that I do have enough ease at the hips. I can always just try it on when I make it and see if it's enough, see if I like it. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be enough, but if it's just too much, I can take it in, but at least I have that extra fabric there. This is the neckline on the front. I'm working with really lightweight fabric. It could deform very easily, so I quickly fused strips of interfacing along there to keep the shape. I reinforced those corners there because those need to be clipped into when you sew on the neckline pieces that overlap across the front. So that's that, and now I'm really happy that this is really stable and it's not gonna like deform or anything or change shape. So I've done that there, and otherwise the construction of the top will be the same. Very easy shoulder seams, put the neckline together like I've already shown in a video, side seams, hem. And I am debating whether to put the cuffs on. I might just do a little hem there and just leave it simple there. So you saw that at the center of the front, there is a dashed line that marks where you have to sew the pleat and then fold it to one side. And then that just forms that same shape on the neckline that you saw me achieve on my front piece without the pleat. So the actual technique of sewing the neck pieces onto this area will be exactly the same. Now, if you have missed that video, I did show it step by step. It is not as hard as you think. You just need to take a few minutes to do it. But the fact that the pleat isn't there just makes it so much easier because you don't have to worry about that pleat getting in the way. You know, you don't have those extra layers of fabric across that center. You know, it's just fabric, you stay stitch the corners, you know, you clip. You saw that I did stabilize those areas with interfacing. I am working with a very lightweight woven, very lightweight. Look, I have no idea what it is because when I bought it, there was no information. So let's just call it a mystery woven that does not stretch and is just really cool to touch. It must be a mix of stuff. I am not sure. I'm sure there's some polyester in there, but it is very soft on the skin. It's not scratchy at all. So I love that, and I decided to simplify it even more by just folding in those dolman sleeves and top stitching, you know, simple hem. Making this took, I am not kidding you, tops an hour and a half, you know, including cutting and sewing and everything, and I even filmed a bit, you know. All that was very fast, and I did it this morning and I absolutely love it. One thing I did though, I did make a shirt length. I did make it an inch shorter than what the line was there on the pattern, because I always add an inch around this area, around my apex area. That's where I add length for my body. That's where I add 1 inch. So I removed an inch from the bottom. I didn't really want to have a long top. It hits the mid hip area, not the full hip, and that's my preferred length. I did show this fabric the other day, and I even mentioned that this was one of my plans. I mentioned that I did have a hack planned, and it's not hack as such. It's nothing creative here. It's just that I've taken the creative detail out of this design and there's no pleat. So there it is. This is so sharp. It turned out so sharp right there, and it was so much easier to do without having the pleat there in the center. You know, I chose to use more structured fabric for these neck pieces, just a simple black cotton. I didn't want to use this same main fabric because then you sort of lose the detail. You can't really see it that much. And I feel that's what happens with this one. When I wear it, you do see the V because you see my skin forming that V. Same as with this one. But you can't see that little area right there. It's just lost in the print. And having made 2 like that already, I knew that this one needed to be different so that the neckline actually pops. And I absolutely love that. It's so nice. And using a structured fabric for this just makes it easier to sew. This fabric is a bit fiddly, you know, so having this area with that fabric makes it super simple. And the sleeves, no cuff there, just turned up and hemmed. Very small hem allowance. I just folded it up a little bit less than 3/8 of an inch, I would say. And then it just goes down and a simple hem, nothing really special. Now you saw that I added towards the bottom here at the hip area 3/8 of an inch to the side, and I didn't modify the pattern. I just cut it out a little bit wider there by 3/8 of an inch. For any pattern that you add 3/8 of an inch on the side, that means you're essentially adding 1.5 inches extra around the full circumference of whatever you're making, a skirt, you know, a dress, top, whatever. And I have those things in my head because I've been doing this for decades. So I sort of know exactly how much I'm adding in total if I add 1/4 of an inch, if I add 3/8, if I add half, you know, that sort of thing. So I was happy that I was adding 1.5 inches. Shoulder seams pressed back, serged and sewn. The neckline is very neat. And that's how it looks there with that overlap. If I flip this under, maybe you will see where it's all stabilized with interfacing. That's why it looks black, and that's the area that you snip into to get this little corner there really sharp. Super fun detail to sew. The fact that the pleat isn't there just makes it so much easier and awesome. It's very flowy, it's very fresh, and I love it. I love how this feels on and how it looks. So let's see. Very windy, I hope you can hear me, but I've just got my top paired with a black mini skirt. I wear this all the time. One of my oldest makes from way back when, I can't even remember. But yeah, I really like this. I've just got wedges. I see this as a very casual type outfit, but takes it up a notch with this lovely neckline. And I've got it hitting my high hip, I would say. It's not my full hip. My full hip is a bit lower than this, and this is a length I like in tops. I definitely needed to add that 1.5 inches extra at the hips, or else I would have felt it was just a little bit too fitted for me. I remember I took away that pleat that also adds ease to the hips, so just having it plain here on the front, it would have been tight actually, so I'm glad that ease is there. Here you can see this up close, how precise these little corners need to be. Very much easier to do without the pleat there, and it just looks very clean right there, very neat. Super nice, I really like that. It's very windy, so I'm just gonna stop talking. I love this neckline, it's super neat. The fact that I made it with black cotton just made it easier to put together, and I like it that it's structured for this area of the blouse while keeping this super lightweight and super drapey. So I think mixing them up is to your favor sometimes, for sure. And I really like the black standing out there. I think it just highlights this shape and this little area here as well. Doing it without the pleat was way easier. You didn't need to think about matching the pleat on this little corner too, like with the original version. So definitely simplifies the process. Hemming it with a tiny hem also super fast, super easy, no drama. Love it, super love it. It's like, feels like I'm just wearing a t-shirt, but it's woven and it's very lightweight, very fresh, and this neckline just brings it up a notch from just a regular t-shirt, you know. So if you already have this pattern and haven't made it yet, this is another option that you can do if you want to simplify your life. And if you just want to see a different sort of look with the same pattern without having the pleat there, I do like the pleat. I will sew the pleat again when I make this again. But I wanted to explore this option without the pleat, since I did get so many questions about if it could be done without the pleat, and of course it can. You just need to think about the volume that you're removing when there's pleats in garments. Sometimes they're there just for visual effects, but in this case it was sort of functional because it was part of the ease at the full hip. So it was something to take into consideration. So I hope you liked this idea. If you haven't got the pattern and the pleat was worrying you or just making you think this was super hard to do, this is one way that you can make it simpler and that you can give this pattern a go. It's super nice. The next pattern I wanted to revisit, and I've wanted to revisit this pattern for ages, is the lyric dress. I was a pattern tester when this one was released back in March 2019, so over a year ago, about a year and a half ago. Love the style. It is for wovens. It's got many options for the sleeves, as you can see there, and there's two types of skirts. They all use the same bodice, and these are the bodices that I love for woven fabrics. They have all the darts that you need, side bust darts, waist darts in the front and the back. There's lots of opportunities for you to customize the fit to you, and there are cup sizes there, so that is amazing. I did make, in that opportunity, a dress and a peplum top. Later on, I made it for my mum twice. I needed to do minimal adjustments to use the same bodice on her. So it's been a pattern that's been very well used, very well loved. And the dress I made is one of my all-time favorites, maybe because of the print as well. I love this print, it's so nice. This is a crepe and it's so soft and so flowy and so fresh. And I love it, you know, it's got bias binding on the inside. And then you have a button band that goes all the way down to the skirt. There is a waist seam, of course. And this is full of darts inside. And then you have a lovely A-line skirt. That's how it looks on the inside. I made bias binding with the same fabric. You can see a dart there, both sides. The button band, this is an integrated facing. And at the back, you have darts there, the waist seam. You know, it's not the hardest dress you can make, but you know, it does take a few hours to get everything done really nicely. I took my time hand basting a bunch of things here. It is a very nice dress to make in wovens, but then I thought, you know, I love this so much and I have made such complex styles with this before. I mean, I made my mum a fully lined one, a linen one that was fully lined. So I've gone to the extreme of making it more complex. Now I want to make it simple. And a little while ago I showed you a fabric haul that was just with knit fabrics that I had gotten online, and I had a Rayon Spandex that was just, every time I open, you know, my fabrics are all there. Every time I open it to get something, it was just like calling me, so beautiful. And I have had it on the table for a multitude of projects, and then I changed my mind, thinking no, but actually this time it was the right fabric, and I decided to make the lyric dress in a Rayon Spandex. Pattern is for woven fabrics. It is not designed for knit fabrics, but there is a huge asterisk here. Now, when I made this pattern and the pattern I have in there, I was a size 14, and that is the size that this dress has. Size 14, straight size 14. Now, when I put this on right now, it is fitted. Let's say it's quite fitted. Like the buttons aren't like busting open or anything, but it is fitted. You know, I have gained an inch everywhere. And so I knew that if I wanted to make this again in a woven, I would have to print out size 16. I would have to print the whole pattern all over again. And you know, knowing that if I want to make a woven design in a knit fabric, I need to size down. That means I can make the size 14 that I already have in this fabric, because it's going to stretch and it's going to fit me perfect. In essence, my body is now a size 16. I am making a 14, so I'm making one size smaller. I'm going to show you now what I'm going to do to make this pattern super simple, super fast to make. So let's see.
What can I do? Time flashed by and I woke up on the other side of the moon.
This is the front piece of the lyric dress, and this is the skirt piece. The skirt piece actually is the same piece for the front and the back. The difference is that there's a little line here that you fold away there. And that's what you cut on the fold for the back. The back is a little bit narrower than the front. And the front, of course, has a wider area because it's supposed to fold under for the button band. Now that red line there is what you're supposed to fold under. And then in the middle there, I've drawn where the buttons will actually go. And whenever you see button placements on a pattern, that is actually the center of the pattern. So if I wanted to eliminate this button feature, all I would have to do is fold along the button placement line, and this is how I'm going to cut my front. On the fold, it will be wider than what you cut on the back, as you can see there, because that's the line for the back, and that will be for the front. And then I can have both skirt pieces cut on the fold without any seams there. Now my pattern pieces are very massacred because I've used them so many times. I've made this for my mom, I've made it for myself, and you know, so it's looking quite battered up. I've done the same for the front here. You can see that red line. This is where you would fold to have the buttons, where you would have the buttons going down the front there. That's why you have that shape. And now I have marked where the buttonholes are, the buttons, and that is actually the center of the dress, so that's where I've folded back in this case and just put this on the fold. I will still sew my side bust dart, my waist dart. I will sew everything as per usual, and I will have a V neckline, and I will use again my classic tee pattern piece for neckbands. I have actually kept it on hand because I've been using this loads. So I'll just sew up the dress, then measure my new circumference there on the neckline for the V, and see how much I need to adapt this piece to fit this new neckline. To sew the darts, I do absolutely nothing different. I'm using a straight stitch. I start on the tip of the dart and go off towards the wider part. Nothing different than when you're sewing a woven dart. Don't use any special stitch or anything like that. And they are good. They're going to shape the garment perfectly to you. It makes absolutely no difference. And they do look like any other dart you've ever sewn before, so no difference there. I am doing some little bit of fusing on the shoulders just to stabilize them. Rayon spandex can be quite flimsy, so I do this step there. At the V, I also fused a piece of interfacing. You can see all the darts have been sewn there, and I'm just pressing everything. Now I've got this sort of assembled. I've got shoulder seams done, the neckline, the darts, and now you can see I've got the skirt pieces there, and I'm going to attach the skirt pieces and then just do the side seams in one continuous go, including the bodice and the skirt. To finish the armholes, I've cut these little pieces of binding. You can see the measurements there. I've made them at 85% of the arm size circumference, and you know, I fold those wrong sides together. and then sew them onto the armhole. I'll go stretching the binding on to match the armhole because the binding is smaller. I'm using a 1/4 inch foot there to do it nice and precisely. I have done this before in other projects, and I really like this finish, folding it double, because this is very lightweight fabric. I think it just gives the binding a little bit more structure and the armhole just looks neater. If I was working with more structured fabric, heavier weight fabric, I wouldn't do this double fold. After sewing that, you can see how that looks. It sort of looks like an armband. I'm just going to fold that to the inside, and I'm going to be hand basting that on so that it's nice and neat and I don't have to worry about pins. And then I'll just be top stitching it down with a straight stitch. I have done this before and it always turns out really nice. When you finish sewing this, your armhole will look a little bit puckered, same as if you do this on a neckline, but when you just give it a good press with a lot of steam, it just goes flat and looks really, really neat. You saw there that I made another V neckband. I have been obsessed with these V necklines lately, and my pattern piece of the classic T, which is a pattern by Love Notions as well, is right there on the bench. It's always there because I know I'm gonna grab it eventually. But you know, if you didn't want to do a V neckband, you can make this dress even more simple by modifying this neckline and just making it round. So it's just, you just get a curved ruler and just keep the same depth of the V and just round it out nicely. Then you can measure that circumference and put on a regular neckband and you will be sweet, it will be fast, it will be simple. But I did want to keep that V because I like it, and the lyric dress does have a V because of the overlap of the buttons. You saw that I did that and just cut everything on the fold. You can sew darts with knit fabrics. Knowing that the woven design fits me very well, I'm very confident to just make it in a rayon spandex. I feel it heavier than other rayon spandex I've had. It does, like, I don't know, it's really hard for you to see the weight of the fabric, but it's not the flimsiest of rayon spandexes I have used. So I really like that, and that is why I didn't line it. I just made it in a single layer, and I think it looks okay. You know, it's fine. It's not excessively tight either. It is fitted, but not tight, so that's good. And there you can see my V neckband right there. I love sewing them. I take great care in doing that, and I did stabilize this area with a bit of interfacing before doing the stay stitch and the clip, that like the snip that you do right there. I always mention I have a V neckband tutorial on the channel. That's why I don't show it how I sew it here in every single video I show these. So I will link that down below. It's for the Laundry Day Tee. That is a free pattern from Love Notions that you can get the code when you join the Facebook group. So I did film that, it's already there. And the binding on the armholes looks super neat. I have also shown how I do this before, and I'm always very happy with the finish. It looks very nice. And when you press it, give it a good steam, it looks amazing. And you know, no buttons, no band, no interfacing, no bias binding. You know, the darts were super fast to sew, and then you just sew the seam there. And the skirt goes at the bottom, super nice. I mean, this took no time. That's how it looks on the inside. You can see the darts everywhere, no difference. I did use a straight stitch everywhere for the darts, and for the regular seams, for the side seams, the waist seam, everywhere else, I used my shallow zigzag settings that I use all the time, my stretch needle, nothing different there. And there's only one little fitting tweak that I'm going to tell you now when you see it on. So this is my knit lyric dress. I think from far away you would think it might be a woven. Totally knit. Very, very comfortable. I love the length of the skirt. Overall look, it's pretty similar, but it's just so comfortable. It's just so nice. The lyric dress has an A-line skirt, which is my favorite type. You know, nice and fitted at the waist and the hips, little bit of ease there, and then it just flares out a little bit. My favorite types of skirts of all times, and I'm glad this, you know, dress has it. No buttons down the center, anything. You saw how I did that, and it's just easier to construct. Now with a knit, I feel that the waist seam is hitting a little lower than my natural waist, and that accounts for the vertical ease that the knit has. So if I make this in a knit again, I might shorten the bodice by just 1/2 inch, but not for the woven, just for the knits. So we have that V neckline there that is the same as the dress, only in the dress it would cross over. You know, I cut it on the fold and I finished it with a neckband there. It's very nice. I love V neckbands, if you can't tell. The Lyric has a sleeveless version, so nothing different there. I've just put the binding inside and it feels nice and close to the body. I do have bust studs right there, and then there's dots on the waist, and it fits amazing. It fits just like the woven version, only this is stretchy. Love it. If you can't tell, I am very excited about this version. I always had that thing in my head, I want to try this dress in a knit fabric. I just hadn't done it, and it came the time to do it. And yeah, this fabric, the way it fits, the way it feels, I just love it so much. And it did simplify from the original version that is with a woven, that has bias binding in here, that has a crossover with buttons. You know, I love doing that too, but this is a way to do it very simplified and get sort of a similar look and the same fit that you already know from the darts and the armhole, the depth of the neckline. You know, those things aren't like a mystery, you know. So very, very fun make. I loved making it, and I am in love with my dress. It's so comfortable. I always say this is one of my favorite dresses, and I have to say it is one of my favorite dresses. I was very excited sewing it, trying it on for the first time. I know I love the woven version, and I knew this was gonna work, and I'm very, very happy with this. I know I'm gonna wear a lot. You know, this is based on a woven design, so you'll see that there's a difference in the armhole in the front and the back, quite notorious, and the armhole is shorter in the front than it is on the back. So when you place your binding, don't use the shoulder seam as a reference point, like that's half of the arm side, because it's not. You will find that the half point is passed towards the back of the armhole. Now, if you hop over to my Instagram page, I will leave the link below. If you go follow me there on Instagram, you will see a post of me there, and I will be hosting a giveaway there on Instagram. And all you need to do is go and follow me there and leave me a comment. This is the photo that you're going to see on Instagram. Find that on my Instagram page, follow me there, and just comment there what Love Notions pattern you would like to win. Comment there, and the giveaway will run for 24 hours. Please don't comment and tell me what pattern you want to win in this video, because the giveaway is not here on YouTube, it is on Instagram. I hope you feel inspired to have a look at the patterns that you have and ways that you can just make them easier. You know, I'm always looking at how that can be done, and I want to share that with you too, because I know that people that view this channel are in very different stages of their sewing, and I get the comments, you know, that looks really hard, you know. So I'm always thinking of ways to show complex things for people that are a bit more advanced, and ways to simplify the same types of garments for those of you who are on your journey and, you know, starting out and having your first experiences. So trying to find that middle ground to offer you content in all sorts of sewing levels. And I hope that really helps you. After you have finished watching my video, if you want more inspiration on Love Notions patterns, I will link down below the videos that my friends are making as well. We are all different, you know, we're all highlighting different patterns because we have different interests, of course. We'll leave them all linked down below. Have fun looking at Love Notions patterns. Don't forget to use my link, and I will see you very soon. Bye.